Welcome to another episode of Threads of Enlightenment. My name is Ken Primus. I am your host. We have been going through the chapters in my book dealing with what I call the process of us becoming healed from whatever situation we've found ourselves in, and how what I call growing into becoming a mature human spirit. We talked about the first chapter. We talked about self-love. It's so important to understand what that means, and the process of recognizing that is our starting point. That once we learn how to love ourselves, we can then truly love someone else. Because if you can forgive yourself, because you and I both know that you are your harshest critic, and if you can turn around and forgive yourself, you can then forgive anyone from that place. We talked about solitude and recognizing what that is, and that it's not a place of weakness. And then we talked about unchecked emotions, which is one of the things that we have to recognize, that our emotions bring us into certain states that cause us to become who we are. We talked about forgiving others, meaning that the person or the people that has caused the harm upon you, in order to become a success or healed, you are going to have to forgive them at some point. The other thing we talked about is conquering your damaging habits, which is very important. And we went over why I call it conquering, because you basically, I believe you're in some type of warfare when it comes to your personal growth and so forth. In this episode, we're going to focus on giving of yourself, and this is such a beautiful thing. It's a powerful state to be in, and lots of places right now are looking for volunteers to help in all these different aspects of our current situation in this world. But it's even more than that. Volunteering about something and giving your help to food banks or local community things that people need help, that is good. But a sick person can also be doing that. But what I'm talking about when I say giving of yourself, it's a deeper thing, and we're going to go into that once we're going to take a little break, and we'll be right back, and we'll dig a little deeper and talk about the process of giving of yourself. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Threads of Enlightenment. As mentioned earlier, I am Ken Primus. I am your host. In my book, the book that I wrote with Rade, I had used quite a few quotes and stuff from Jack Kornfield's book, and I keep telling you guys to purchase that little book. It's really, I bought that book and I used it to assist me in the development of my children's growth, but I learned so much about it for me as an individual as well, that I recommend you get it for yourself, as well as those that are listening to me that have children. But it is an excellent book for an adult as well. And one of his statement that he has in there: if you know the power of a generous heart, you will not let a single opportunity for giving pass you by. And that is such a powerful thing. Notice what he says. A generous heart. And so once you begin to go through your process of healing, certain changes begin to happen to you individually as you begin to heal, as you begin to grow from that person that was broken to someone that is much stronger, someone that is able to now stand up and smile and know that you have gone through a process as you begin to heal and you're getting stronger every day. And so you have to gain and obtain that generous heart. And the generous heart is not just, and I know when there's a need out there. I just read an article this morning as well that several food banks are just needing volunteers to come to their aid because of the great need that is out there because of the COVID situation that we find ourselves in, and being out of work and people needing food through the food bank and so forth. And so those that have a servant heart versus those that have a generous heart. A servant heart is one that is going to serve the needs of the people. The giving stuff, the generous heart, is of a little different material, but it kind of piggyback on each other, and we'll go through in that process as we're going to talk about it and learn about it. There's a saying that I say, those who give of themselves are never selfless. And so there's tremendous peace and strength and power that is in a generous heart, and those that are also that are of a servant heart. And I remember my situation, because when you are locked in prison from the pain and the hurt that you have been inflicted upon you by whoever that person or people are that has caused you to be in that, as I mentioned earlier, that prison, that state where of darkness and pain. And so for you to be in that place, to come to a place where you can have a generous heart, that means you have learned to forgive yourself. That means that you have learned to not believe what someone says about you, their opinion. That means that you have walked through in a place of solitude, and you have gone through whatever process to gain your strength, that you could stand and look at yourself in a mirror and say to yourself, I love you. I love you. You are not perfect, but I love you. In that place where you have learned, you visited where you have learned to forgive that person that are those people that have caused you to be in that darkness, where you can look at them and say, I don't have any grudges against you, and mean that from this place deep in your heart. Where you have gone through that place and you have made the adjustment to your attitudes, because I mentioned in that study that you focus on your perspective, because perspective is everything. You changed how you look at that situation that has caused you pain. You've been through that attitude adjustment, and so you've gone and you've changed and you've conquered those damaging habits that cause you to behave and spiral out of control over and over and over again. And so you are able to look at this after you've gone through all of that. You look in the mirror and you have gotten this heart. Your heart has changed. Your personality has changed. Your perspective has changed. Your ability to love has changed. Your ability to forgive has changed. Your ability to accept has changed. Everything about you has changed. And so your heart, your inner person, has now begun to live from a place of gratitude, from a place that is able to give of yourself, because you're one of, you now live from a place of thankfulness. You have experienced the pain. You've experienced all of those things. And so as you begin to become alive, you begin to taste life. You begin to, I used to walk around, and my friends and my family will tell you, where you just I used to kiss my hands in appreciation to how precious I am, how unique, how I am one of a kind, how special I am. And from that mindset, you begin to become gracious. You become thankful. There's a joy that erupts inside of your spirit that gives you this energy that causes you to want to reach out to someone and now be generous to them, from a place coming from what I described earlier, where you are so excited and that you want to make sure that the person that you're talking to that is in pain, that you become gracious to them, that you speak words that is able to free them and build them up, that you can speak words that is able to encourage them, that you can speak words that is able to begin to take this person and to give them a new perspective. And so you begin to come from a place of graciousness. And that place is a place of beauty and power. You begin to now infuse someone with your strength, someone else that is in a place of darkness. You begin to infuse them with the power that you have gained from the place that you have been delivered from and that you've walked through. And so this becomes somewhat intoxicating, because I remember when I was able to talk to other people about their situation and began to give them advice of how and what happened to me and how I began to walk out of where I lived for years. And so this is a place that you and I eventually come to, a place that you begin to give of yourself. And as I mentioned to you, you're giving from a place of a graciousness. And it is such a beautiful place to be. As I'm talking about it, I remember some of those times and some of those people that I were able to talk to and help them to get to unlock the door that they were hiding behind because of the pain that someone gave to them. From when you begin to share from this gracious heart, it's so powerful because it's not, you're sharing, as I mentioned, from a different perspective. You're actually remembering where you came from, and you can sympathize, you can empathize with this person, and they will feel it, the energy the transfer of energy between you and them will be enormous. It will be freeing. It'll be motivating to that person. Remember when someone presented to you, and from that place, with a gracious heart, came and began to tell you and help you in certain areas in your life. Remember that force, that energy that you felt, that you participated with that individual, and when they left, how that was able to sustain you, to help you through those places that you need to do and give. We look at some of the people in history, Mother Teresa, who's one that would give of herself in places where people could never give her anything. And so that's the beauty of the ability to give. And so as you begin to give from that place of a gracious heart, you then walk into the arena where you become a true servant. Because as you come from this place of graciousness, and now when you begin to serve someone, you're not serving them out of pride. The Bible talks about when Jesus, when he walked into this temple, and how these religious people were giving their tithes. They were throwing it and walking pompously and with their heads up. And there's this story about this woman, this old woman that comes, and it talks about her giving a mite, a penny or whatever she had, and she came and she placed it in this in the offering thing, and Jesus looks to his disciples and he said, that woman gave of herself. She gave actually everything she had. And the others, he said, they will get their reward. They have already gotten their reward. But he looked and he said, the reward that they got was that people saw them, that they're this pompous, walking around. He said, that's their reward. But he said, that woman, she said what she gave, it triggered something and caused God himself to look at her and began to respond to that heart that she had. And so the graciousness takes us into this place of servitude. The disciples, Jesus washed the disciples' feet, a place of servant from a gracious heart. So it leads us there to become true servants. But it starts with giving of yourself, this gracious heart, as Jack said, that he mentioned earlier. And I wanted to really focus on that because that's the key to it. He says, if you know the power of a gracious heart, you will not let a single opportunity for giving pass you by. And that is from Jack Kornfield's Buddha Little Instruction book. And I love that book. It has some great insights into it. But what we'll do is take a little break, and we'll be right back, and we'll continue to talk about giving of yourself. And it's really important that you understand what I'm trying to say from this gracious heart. And then when you become, it takes you into a place of a servant. You begin to serve with even an intensity, a love, a pureness, absolute power. And you're able to gain so much strength from that place. But we'll talk about it on the other side. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Threads of Enlightenment. We've been talking about giving of yourself. You know the old adage that they say, it's more blessed to give than to receive. The best things in life are free. You know those things that people just spout, but really don't understand the principles behind that and the power that is behind that. It is more blessed to give than to receive. And so if you're giving of yourself, I mean, you've gone through a tremendous amount of healing. You've walked through places of weaknesses. You've walked through the process of looking at yourself less than. You've gone through the process of being less selfish. You've gone through the process of growing up, basically, as I say, and you've learned how to motivate yourself. You learn now how to speak to yourself, how to encourage yourself, how to learn. And so from this place of giving to yourself, is you have to learn how to practice, how to become generous. And as you become generous, a place of a generous heart, it's an art form that you have to cultivate, and you have to cultivate this, I think, from a place of strength, in the sense of overcoming all those things that you've gone through. Right now, you're not standing up, let's say 150%, 100%, but you're standing up. And as you begin to do this, you will get stronger. Mark my words, you'll get stronger, because this generosity, as much as you think it's for them, the persons and the people that you're being generous about, it is more so about you. Because what begins to happen to you, I used to say to people, give to the poor, the weak, the hungry, then watch. And I used to say that to them, then watch. The focus not to watch what happened to the poor or the weak or the hungry. The watch was to focus on you, because when you begin to watch, what begins to happen to you is this thing inside of you begin to get, because they're thankful of what you're bringing and offering them through your service, through the generous heart that you have cultivated. They're thankful for that. And so, but what it does to you, it begins to encourage you. It begins to help you to look from just looking at you. You begin to have this connection that you had lost before, a deeper connection to yourself first, and then you are now you're stepping out to begin to connect to people. And the first people that you're looking at to connect with are people that can't offer you anything, and nothing. They can't give you anything back. So you are here offering from your generosity and this giving and this servitude that you now walking in. You're looking at the bigger picture to help you grow, so that you will become strong. And giving to yourself, or giving to others, as they say, is basically giving to yourself. And so it means that when you begin to place the needs of others above yours, and you begin to see that all of the self-centeredness that you had caused by the pain, because you begin to retreat in looking at yourself, oh me, oh my, what's all that stuff, all those things, those thoughts and actions become smaller as you begin to give and be generous. You're going to practice this now, and you're going to practice it daily, where you're going to be you're finding yourself can't wait to do something from that place. As Jack had said earlier, if you know about the power of a generous heart, you will not let a single opportunity forgiving pass you by. You trust me, it's not going to happen. If you once you understand this principle, because again, as much as you think it is for them, this is all about you. So I encourage you to stand ready to be able to present yourself to others, to be one of a generous heart, to sacrifice from the place of your hurt, to now reach out to someone that needs your wisdom, that needs your graciousness, that needs your forgiveness, that your understanding of forgiveness, your understanding of the right attitude and perspective. Stand ready to be able to do that. Look for the opportunities to be able to help and to free that person from their prison that they were in, that you were in several weeks or months ago, that you are now learning to proceed from there. And so as you learn to give to others, trust me, this particular act is going to create a sense of joy in your heart, a sense of connectiveness with others, a sense of strength where you are no longer the victim. You are no longer the one that they have taken advantage of. You're going to learn how to wake up every single morning believing that there are people out there that we call it divine appointments that will come in your path, that you will able to see how your words and your gracious heart will help someone from doing something in their life. I'll give you an example. I remember one time when I went to visit a friend of mine who was a bartender in a club, and I was just sitting in a corner having a drink and just talking with him and stuff like that. And a friend of mine, I saw her coming in to the bar, and she was hugging people as she came in and stuff like that. And then she came to me, and I remember looking her dead in the eye and said, "How are you?" And she looked at me, "Oh, I'm fine, the general stuff." And I stopped her and I said, "No. How are you doing?" And that second time when I spoke that to her, she sat down and she began to pour out all kinds of stuff about where she was, what was happening with her. I listened to her, we talked, we had a wonderful exchange of words for hours. And at the very end of our conversation, where we talked about her starting anew in certain things, taking a risk where she wouldn't have taken before, go this and that, and just basically was able to encourage her and to be gracious from my place, and that warmth, that joy, she felt that. At the end of our conversation, she looked at me and she said, "Ken, I'm so glad that we talked." She said, "I was about to commit suicide, and you were the last person that I was coming to hug before I did what I was planning on doing." And so as a result of our conversation, she changed her mind. And so we have to be able to, wake up and believe that we're going to have these divine appointments that will be placed before you and I, and that our responsibility is to respond from a place of graciousness, a place of gracious heart, And I'm telling you, it's a different place from a servant. The gracious heart leads you into that servant place. But when you serve from a gracious place, it becomes even more powerful than just volunteering your time and all that stuff, which is awesome. But when you become a true servant as a result of living from a gracious life, it is more powerful. It is so impactful. It is able to take someone that is about to go commit suicide that evening and change their lives forever. And she married and all those things years later. But you and I have to become aware that as we come out of our situation, as we move from one space to another, that the end goal and the end results is for us to have a gracious heart, is for us to now start reaching out to people and take this opportunity again, I keep going back to that, what Jack had said. If you know about the power of a generous heart, you will not let a single opportunity for giving pass you by. Give of yourself, people. Give to people that need it. Give to people who are struggling. Tell them how you were able to come out. Tell them about this podcast that is able to help you to come out from where you're at, so that they can begin to come to the place where you are and where you are able to give of yourself. Tell them about us meeting and communicating about the processes to self-growth, to the journey of self-growth and all these things, and so that they would become strong, independent spirits, so that we can in turn turn around and become more generous to more people, so that we all could become healed and become strong and powerful in who we are. And you have to learn as you walk in the knowledge of of who you are and what you're becoming. There's a certain power in that. And so I invite you all to come. Let your families and friends know about this podcast, Threads of Enlightenment, a journey into personal growth. Again, my name is Ken Primus. I am your host. I wrote this book with my co-author, Radhe Chef, and my name on the book is Shivanatha Daddy, and this was given to me by I went to an ashram a few years ago in Sebastian. Majaya was the guru there, and she called me Daddy for a long time, many years. And then because I was a single dad with my 4 boys. Here I have 5 boys, but I was living with 4 of them at the time that were living with me. And so she called me Daddy. And so one day she pulled me aside and gave me the name Shivanatha. And Shivanatha means the teachers of God. And so they called me, I was known as Shivanatha Daddy. And so my hope is that you would take the lessons that we are learning in this particular podcast, Threads of Enlightenment, and apply them to your life. Tell your friends about us so that they can listen. Tell your mom, your dad, your brothers and sisters. Tell everyone so that we all can listen and grow to become the most beautiful human spirits possible on this planet, and that we can become that shining light for everyone to see. I'll see you next time. Again, this is Ken Primus, Threads of Enlightenment. You have a great time and be safe in this current situation that is happening outside of our doors. You be safe and keep your family safe. Next time.